Hey everybody, Marcus Crawford here with the Idaho Quadcopter channel. I have the Fimi Mini version 3 with me again today. The last time I flew this, I tried to do some of the intelligent flight modes with it, and I couldn't get it to do an orbit. So we're going to try that again today, but I'm also going to show you Fimi has a couple different ways you can do an automated orbit. I'm going to show you that as well. I'm going to show you there's a couple different ways you can do a spiral or a helix, as DJI calls it. I'll show you that as well. And then hopefully we'll have time to do a little bit of a waypoint mission. I'll show you how to do waypoints on the Fimi Mini version 3. And if we have time to do anything else on one battery, we'll do it. But anyway, let's quit messing around. Let's get this bird in the air. Hey, we're going to modify this flight a little bit. I was just getting ready to take off, and the drone, of course, asked for a firmware download. One of the things it said in there is it's optimizing the circle flight. So evidently I wasn't the only one having that problem. So this should fix that. So that'll be interesting to see. Now, I've only have one battery with me, so this is going to use up a fair amount of battery power. So we may not get to everything that I was talking about earlier, but we'll do as much as we can, and I'll show you as much as I can in this flight, and then have no fear, we'll get to that other stuff later. I'll put the firmware notes up on the screen right now. Okay, I've got the drone fired up, and we did that firmware update. And I see we still got 96% battery, so that's a good thing. It took it a fair amount of time to update. It's not asking for any calibrations, so let's just try it without doing any other calibrations. We do want to format that micro SD card. I'm going to hit Format right now. Format. And formatting in progress. It's done. Okay. Return to homes at like almost 37 meters, so that's plenty. We can go ahead and click on the menu here, the settings menu. Limit flight speed 60. No, we want to put no limit on that. So it kind of reset some things here, I think, because I think maybe you have to set that no limit every time. Or no, I guess, yeah, okay, so I did have it in the right spot. I'm sorry, you have that off, and that gives you no limit. Flight speed, let's check that. Yeah, that's maxed, so that's what we want. We got it in normal mode. Precision landing, let's turn that on. And this guy likes a round landing pad. I've got a square one, so we'll see. Again, the compass looks good, so no issues there. Let's go down and let's take a look at that firmware package here. So there you can see what it was updated to. That's all the numbers right there. So let's quit messing around. Let's get this bird in the air. We've got it in 4K 30, which is where, well, I better look at that camera menu. Hang on here, guys. Sorry, I should have already did that. So let's go into the camera menu, and we want video quality in high. Everything else in automatic. We're just going to shoot in 4K 30. This guy, if I change the codec, will shoot in 4K 60. But let's leave HDR on. We've got all of our grid lines on. We are good to go. We already formatted that SD card. Okay, start recording now. We're down to 95% battery. Please take off as soon as possible. And yes, we will. Let's hit that slider. Maybe. Sometimes the touch screen can be a little weird. There we go. And there's the drone in the air. And yeah, once you start that camera, it wants you to take off because it uses a little heat. So this one goes up about, it's typically 2.5 meters. It's up at 2.8 meters high right now. Let's bring it down here and bring it into the camera a little bit so we can take a look at it. I'm going to move the action camera up just a little, and we'll bring that drone into the camera a little bit. You can see where I'm sitting here kind of behind the camera. Let's move it over. So I'm going to again readjust the action camera here. So let's drop it down. And drone's in pretty close, and you know, Fimi's got this down. It hovers, it's perfectly. I flew the Holy Stone Mini the other day and it was up and down like crazy. This guy is just like DJI. It just hangs there like it's hanging from a string. Let's just show you how that little gimbal works like I always do. I like to demonstrate that so people can see how it keeps your footage perfectly stable. So anyway, now we are going to do a manual droney. So reverse and up now, reverse and up. And we're going to go right between these trees here. And I kind of cross-coupled there a little bit. And dropping that camera down, grabbing some more altitude. Kind of giving you a look at where I'm at here. So this is pretty familiar territory. I fly here quite a bit. But let's quit messing around and let's start some of those intelligent, or we're gonna try that orbit mode. So I'm gonna bring the drone back in here for a second. See if I can avoid dropping it into a tree here. Lots of trees in this park, so you do have to pay attention a little more than I might otherwise. And yeah, you can see I'm sitting in the shade. It is well, it's in the 80s right now, but it's gonna be a real hot day today, so. Okie dokie, let's go into that quick shot menu here real quick. So I'm gonna stop recording. Okay, so I was messing around there for a minute looking at some other menus. We're gonna go into the quick shot menu here real quick. We're gonna click on orbit, maybe, and I'm gonna see if I can make the tip of this sculpture the point of interest. Let me get out of there. So we've got our point of interest drawn now. I don't know if that is exactly the top of that sculpture or not, but let's go ahead and try it. We're gonna hit the start button right now. It's counting down. And it's gonna shoot this in 1080p, and you know what? It's doing a perfect job. So, oh, there it lost it. Yeah, it lost it. So let's click stop. Okay, let's try that again. So it did pretty darn good. Let's move it in a little bit closer. It did really well until it lost that point of interest there. So I'm gonna see if I can bring the drone in closer on the point of interest and see if I can do a little better job of drawing that rectangle. Maybe. Let's see, one more shot here. I'm a little bit struggling to get the yaw just perfect to get it right in the center. So there we go again. Let's hit that start button one more time and see how it does. So it's starting again. As long as it can hold that point of interest, it'll be okay, but it's already, yeah, it's moving it. So the thing of it is, I think when it doesn't have a point of interest on the ground, it may struggle. So we're going to try something different here. I'm going to get in closer and I'm going to draw the point of interest on the ground. I'm going to push that camera down. That's something that I should have done beforehand. And we're going to make our point of interest right here on the ground. And I think that may help. Although I wonder if these trees will get in the way then, I don't know. Okay, so we're going to do the point of interest right there, and let's see if I can get it done this time without losing. Now, what may happen is it could lose it because of these trees here. Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. The trees obscured it, although it's still doing the orbit, so it's doing just fine. Even though it looks like we lost that point of interest, we're getting a good orbit. So let's just see how that does here. I think it stops at one rotation, but I can't remember for sure. But I'm telling you, if you were out in the open, it would hold that point of interest easier. I've seen it. I just think that it gets, when you're trying to draw a point of interest that's not on the ground, it can be problematic. And then in this case, when it didn't have trees obscuring it, you know, that it probably would have done better. Looks like it's continuing around, And no, there it is. Okay, orbit finished. So that's good. So anyway, that works, right? Okay, we got that solved. Well, so while we're at it here, then I am going to show you another way to do a point of interest. So we're going to get out of there, and we're going to go back into video, and we are going to start video, and then we're going to show you a different way to do a point of interest. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to move up straight above the sculpture here. And I'm going to go up a little bit higher so we get a little bit wider point of view, so you can kind of see the whole circle. And I am going to move forward just a little bit more, and I'm going to click on that little, it looks like a robot head at the bottom there. I don't know exactly what that is, an Android or something, but if we hit orbit there, it essentially does the same thing. So what you have to do is you fly over whatever your center is and set it as a point of interest. And they're warning you to keep away from buildings, etc., because this thing does not have obstacle avoidance. They're absolutely right. So hang on here. Orbit. I didn't click OK. So there I clicked OK. And setting center. And then it'll take me, it'll tell me that I need to set a radius, and I believe your radius has to be more than 5 meters. So we're going to back the drone up, and we'll see what it says here. Yeah, usually that number turns green when you have a high enough radius, but anyway, in this case it didn't. I am going to, so we set the radius, and I'm just kind of picking that. I want to try and center this thing up as best I can. Okay, so we got that. So now we've in the top right-hand side there, we're going to click setting radius. So now it knows what our radius is. So here's where you set the whether you want it to go clockwise or counterclockwise, and the speed. Let's crank this baby up. Let's have it go fairly quick here. We can get it up to about 6 meters per second, I think, and that's going to be pretty fast. Now, the heading is important. If you just leave it on, if you put it on free, it's just going to keep the camera pointed whatever direction it is right now. But if you put it on center, it's going to keep the camera on the center. In this case, we're going to go clockwise. So let's click. Well, I changed my mind. Let's go counterclockwise because we did the other orbit clockwise. Now let's click go. And you're going to see this guy move right along. Takes it a second, and now it starts up. And I see that we can even adjust the speed as we go. If you can see in the menu there at the bottom, we could adjust the speed. But yeah, so there you go. I like this version better because you get exactly what point of interest you want. It's just more elegant, and works a lot better. I think this one will, it'll keep doing that orbit until you tell it otherwise too. Let's see, we're already down to 48% battery, so I'll tell you one thing we're not going to get to today is the waypoints. We'll do that. I'll just dedicate another video to that. I apologize for mentioning that earlier, but we did get a firmware update done, and we got that circle flight figured out in QuickShots. So yeah, we're about one orbit into it here, aren't we? And it's just going to keep going till we tell it to stop. And if you look down there in the bottom right, if I click on that X, it will stop. I'm going to click OK. So let's do something else. I'm going to bring it in lower and in. And well, in fact, we're going to get right over the top of it again. Right over the top of the sculpture. Make sure I got that camera pointed straight down, and I do. And we're going to lower this guy down quite a bit. And looks like we need to move forward just a little bit more to get it exactly in the center. And then we're going to click on that little robot head, the little Android head there again, and let's do spiral. So this is another way to do a helix with this drone, which is pretty darn cool. So same thing, we're going to set the center right now, and so we're going to setting center, and then, yeah, so now I'm telling you, see the distance is in red there, when distance 0 meters, it's in red. So now we have to back it up a little ways. So we're going to back it up. I think we have to go 5 meters. Yeah, so there you saw it turn there, 8.2 meters. I'm gonna leave it right there, and then we have an arrow in the top right. Let's click on that, and here we can set clockwise or counterclockwise, and auto return. Auto return, you set that, and the drone will return to where it started once it's done. But let's go ahead and crank that radius up quite a bit. Let's have it do a pretty good, well, it's over 102 meters. That's going to be plenty. Let's click go. Yeah, so evidently fly away from the central point, 3 meters. Yeah, I don't know why it didn't start. Okay, let's click on that again. I must not be, the height should be over 3 meters and the distance greater than 5 meters but less than 200 meters. Greater than 5 meters, we're at 8.2 meters. Well, I don't know. So let's try go again and see what happens. Pitch angle is too high, it says. Okay, so I think I need to, yeah, I missed that earlier. Okay, let's try that one more time. And click go. And there it's going. So because I had the camera pointed down there is why it didn't do it. So it's starting, and I actually have the camera lower than I would like here because I wanted to center it. I should have picked it up and pointed it higher on the sculpture. In fact, I'm going to try and pick it up right now. No, I can't. Oh yeah, it's letting me do it. Yeah, so that's me manually picking up the camera, and there it is doing a spiral. In other words, that's just like a helix in DJI speak. The drone is moving out, raising in altitude, and orbiting at the same time. And if you've ever tried to do that manually, you'll know what a difficult task that is. So pretty cool that it did. Doggone it, we're down to 31% battery. We didn't get a lot done here, but we did get a, I'm going to pick up that camera a little more, center that thing in frame. So I could have done a lot better there. I apologize for that. That should have been a better helix. But you got the picture. You can see how to do it. That was operator error. Now it's going to return to its home point. I think that's all we're going to get done. We're down to 29% on battery. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to fly it out here a little ways till it goes into return to home. Well, maybe not. We want to see if we can get a, let's just fly it out a ways. And it says spiral mission complete. And let's see if we can get a precision landing. So we're at 27% battery. It says low battery, but we're not in that bad a shape. You can see the other sculpture right there. Let's just get this guy out over the pond. This is a fast little drone. I always like this, flying this guy. Okay, so let's hit return to home. And you know what? I'm going to do that on the controller. And yeah, it's not making any noise, but it's coming back. I think maybe I hit silence on there. And I know that I enabled return to home. Now I see the landing pad is partially in the shade right now, so let's see if it hits it or not. And again, Fimi likes a round landing pad, so it may or may not hit it. I have a square pad sitting out there, so we'll see. It does have a circle in the middle. Let's see if it identifies the pad. And we're throwing another little monkey wrench in there, in that the pad is partially in the shade right now. So I don't know. I don't know if that'll help or hurt, but we'll see if the drone recognizes it. That's me dropping the camera down so we can see. as the drone comes in. And you can see the little home point is showing somewhat off of where the pad actually is. Yeah, landing pad not detected. Oh, this is going to be a challenge. We'll cancel it if it. Well, I don't know. I guess it wouldn't hurt to even let it land in the grass, but we'll see here. We'll see. I'm hoping that, yeah, landing pad detected, and it's moving towards me. Well, that's not good. Now we're going to cancel. Okay, I canceled because it said landing pad detected, and it was moving towards the picnic table here. So yeah, it kind of misunderstood what was what. But I'm certain if I had a round pad, it would have found it. But let's get it over the top of the pad here. And I'm going to move it over just slightly, back slightly. I'm going to get it down lower so I get a better idea here. Move it back. Okay, yeah, and then it moved back forward. It's funny when you're trying these fine movements how the drone will move around a little bit. Okay, straight down on that left stick, straight down. And we're going to put it in landing mode. Whoops, and I cross-coupled like crazy there, but we still got it on the pad. And then it lifted the camera once it got down. That was pure operator error on that landing. When I was moving that left stick, I had it a little bit off center. Okie dokie, let me get everything shut down and we'll do a quick conclusion. Hey, okay, the Fimi Mini version 3. I really like this drone. This is the promise of what the original Fimi Mini was when it came out a couple of years ago. This one lives up to all that. You know, the other day when I was trying to demonstrate QuickShots, I couldn't get it to do an orbit. Clearly, Fimi recognized that as an issue, and they corrected it with the firmware update that we did out here in the field just before we took off. Now, I wanted to do a waypoint mission today. We didn't have enough battery to do that, so I promise I'll get to that in another video. But we did show you a couple of features that I thought were really cool. We showed you that the orbit does now work, and some of the issues that it had not holding its point of interest, I think were the situation, kind of my fault. If I'd have had it out in the open someplace with a point of interest on the ground, I don't think it would have lost it. I think it would have done just fine. However, it did. I thought it did okay, right? That last one we did was just fine. It did its orbit and then it stopped. And then I showed you the second way to do an orbit, which is actually the one, quite frankly, it's way more accurate, and you're setting that point of interest yourself with the where you're placing the drone and the camera. I like that one a lot better, and that's the one that I would recommend that you use, way more accurate. And then finally, I showed you how this guy will do a spiral or a helix, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I mean, it did just fine. When I had the camera pointed too far down. As soon as I picked up the camera, it started that helix just fine. Now, I also made another mistake there. I should have had the camera further up and it would have been way more cinematic. But, you know, just wanted to demonstrate how it works. That's something that you can mess around with. But anyway, so you got to see the firmware update, and that's, you know, it definitely helped the drone out. And by the way, I see the drone is still on. We better shut that guy off. I thought I'd shut it off, and I didn't. I shut off the controller, but I didn't shut off the drone. So the drone was sitting here running that whole time. Hey, so the Fimi Mini version 3 is on Amazon now. You can buy it on Amazon, there's a lot of advantages to that. If for some reason you bought the drone and you just didn't like it for whatever reason, Amazon is really good about returns. And also, it is on sale right now on Amazon for $299. So I'll put my affiliate link down below and use that if you wish. But $299, you're getting a lot of drone for that. It's a full-featured product, has a lot of features on it, a lot of different things you can do with it. And we're going to do more videos with this drone, and hopefully we're going to get through all of the features at some point. Next video, I want to do a waypoint mission with this guy and look at how it deals with waypoints, etc. I'm sorry that we didn't get to that today, but next time. This is Marcus Crawford with the Idaho Quadcopter channel out. And if you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Most of all, I really appreciate you taking the time to look at this video. And of course, we absolutely will see you on the next one. Bye now.